Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present today. My name is Hilda Ainu Sifa, and I'm a student from English Education Department. Today, I would like to present a topic entitled The Role of Vocabulary Mastery in Effective Public Speaking. Before we start, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you ever listened to someone speaking in public speaking and thought, wow, that person sounds so confident and convincing? Usually, one of the main reasons is because of their vocabulary. The words they choose make their ideas clearer, stronger, and also more interesting for the audience. Public speaking is not only about speaking loudly or standing confidently in front of the people. It is also about how we deliver ideas through effective word choices. So, in this presentation, we will discuss the meaning of vocabulary mastery, why vocabulary is important in public speaking, problem caused by limited vocabulary, and also several ways to improve vocabulary skills. Now, let's move to the first discussion. First, let's understand the meaning of vocabulary mastery. Vocabulary mastery is the ability to understand and use words correctly and effectively in communication. So it doesn't mean we must know 1,000 of difficult words. Instead, it means we know the first, the meaning of the words, the second, when to use them, the third, how to use them properly. In public speaking, vocabulary mastery is very important because words are the main tool of communication. For example, imagine a speaker says, "The situation is bad." The audience can understand it, but it sounds very basic, right? Now compare with, "The situation is critical and requires immediate action." This sentence sounds more professional, serious, and also persuasive. So, vocabulary mastery helps speakers express ideas clearly, sound more confident, and also make speeches more impactful. Now, I want you to think for a moment. If you were the audience, which sentence would you sound more convincing to you? Of course, the second sentence sounds stronger and more effective, right? That shows how powerful vocabulary can be in public speaking. Let's talk about why vocabulary is important in public speaking. The first reason is clarity. Good vocabulary helps audience understand the speaker's message more easily. If speaker use the right words, listeners will not feel confused. And the second is confidence. When speakers know enough vocabulary, they do not panic easily during presentation because they can explain ideas in different ways. For example, if they forget one word, they can replace it with another similar word, right? And the third reason is persuasion. Strong vocabulary can influence people emotionally and intellectually. For example, motivational speakers often use inspiring words like success, opportunity, growth, and achievement. These words create positive feelings for the audience. The last reason is audience engagement. Interesting vocabulary makes speeches less boring and keeps listeners focused. A good example is Barack Obama. He became famous for speeches that were simple but very powerful. One of his famous expressions was, "Yes, we can." The sentence is very short, but it inspires millions of people because it sounded hopeful and also motivational. So from this example, we can see the effective of vocabulary is not always complicated. Sometimes simple words can become very powerful when used correctly. And for the next, let's discuss audience connection. A good public speaker understands that different audience need different vocabulary styles. For example, when speaking to children, we should use simple and fun words. While speaking to professionals, we can use more formal and technical language. This is important because communication is successful only when the audience understands the message. Let's look at an example. Imagine a doctor speaking to the patient. If the doctor says, "You have hypertension," some patients may not understand. But if the doctor says, "You have high blood pressure," the message becomes clearer and easier to understand. This example shows the effective speakers adjust their vocabulary depending on who they are speaking to. Now let me ask you, how you ever listen to someone speaking English using very difficult words and then you become confused and or lost interest? That happens because communication is not only about sounding smart, it is about making sure that audience understand us. So, choosing appropriate vocabulary is a very important speaking skill also. So, now let's talk about problem caused by limited vocabulary. One common problem is repeating the same words again and again. For example, good, or very good. If speakers repeat the same words too much, speech may sound boring and less professional. Another problem is difficult explain ideas. So sometimes speakers know what they want to say in their minds, but they cannot express it clearly because they do not know enough vocabulary. Limited vocabulary can also reduce confidence. Speakers may feel nervous because they are afraid of making mistakes or forgetting some words. As a result, they may pause and also too often or lose focus during presentations. To improve this, speakers can learn synonyms instead of always saying good or very good, and so they can use excellent, impressive, effective, beneficial, or understanding. Using varied vocabulary makes speeches more interesting and dynamic. So vocabulary is like a toolbox. The more words we know, the easier it becomes to communication ideas effectively. And next slide's how to improve vocabulary for public speaking. The good news is vocabulary can be improved through practice. The first way is by reading regularly. Books, articles, and speeches helps us discover new words and expressions. The second way is by watching presentation or TED talks. By listening to skilled speakers, we can learn pronunciation, word choice, and also speaking style. The third way is learning synonym. For example, instead of only using word important, we can also use essential, significant, crucial, or valuable. This makes our speech richer and less repetitive. Another important way is practicing speaking every day. For example, you can describe your daily activities in English, practice speaking in front of the mirror, and also record yourself speaking. The more we practice, the more natural vocabulary becomes. And finally, write down new words and use them in sentences. Because if we only memorize vocabulary without using it, we will forget it quickly. So practice is the key to improving vocabulary mastery skill. So we have moved to the last slide, that is conclusion. To conclude, vocabulary mastery plays a very important role in effective public speaking. Good vocabulary helps speakers communicate clearly, sound more confident, persuade audiences, and create stronger connection with learners. Public speaking is not about using the most difficult words, it is about choosing the right words for the right audience and situation. So improving vocabulary is one of the best ways to become better speakers. Before I end this presentation, I want to ask final question. If vocabulary can improve confidence, clarity, and communication, then why not we start improving vocabulary today? Thank you for attention. Have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.